The world of Snarf.
Hey guys, I have some interesting stuff going on in my portfolios, and I figured it would be a good time to go ahead and update you guys on what's been going on. So let's dig in. We will start with Acorns. Alright, so what is changing about Acorns? So if you guys have been following along, you'll know that my investment strategy was $5 each week, and I was doing the ×2 roundups. Today I went and updated my roundups because it accidentally unlinked from my card and I wasn't really getting those roundups. So I was going through, I was editing, I reconnected my card and my bank information, and I decided that, there's a little bit of a dip going on the past few days. I'm going to go ahead and go back to putting in $5 each day as opposed to the once a week. So hopefully I can capture more value and take advantage of the dips that have been going on. My portfolio value has really been going up here lately, and this is becoming a more powerful vehicle for saving and investing. So I figured, why not try and beef it up again. I'll go into more detail as to why and how I'm able to do that in a little bit, so stick around and I'll explain that. So yeah, that's what's going on with Acorns. I went ahead and changed it to $5 a day, so $35 each week, along with the ×2 multiplier on the roundups. So we should be capturing more value that way in Acorns. So that's what's going on with Acorns. I did make a list over here of things I want to talk about in this portfolio update, just because sometimes when I get to rambling I kind of forget, and then after the fact the video's been produced and I've uploaded it, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to tell my subscribers some of the things that have been going on. So let's move on to M1. So this is the one that's more of a drastic change, and the one that you guys probably will care more about and will see more of. So, as you know, the last two Dividend Digest videos have been about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and Pepsi was not one of the holdings that I actually had in my portfolio. That is no longer true. So, yesterday, I noticed Pepsi was kind of dipping down again. I had some cash in my M1 account. I wasn't buying anything. So I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and buy some Pepsi funds. And at the same time, I also got rid of my holdings of Guggenheim. So ticker GOF, I decided to liquidate from my account. I will show you that. Where is that at? Does it show it here? Yes. So let me get my big old head out of the way here. That's not too bad. Alright, so Guggenheim. So I sold close to, a little over 19 shares for $19.63. And I want to say I only lost 2 cents overall on this investment. So it did pay out dividends, which, they were taxable. I saw that. But as far as actual value of the stock, I think I only lost 2 cents. So almost broke even, so I'm not really going to be hurting without that. But with the cash and the money I got off the sell, I was able to buy into PepsiCo. So, a little over 4 shares of... What the heck's going on? A little over 4 shares at about 116 each. Is that really what I think the intrinsic value of Pepsi is? Maybe. It's been a lot higher. But at the same time, there have been points where I could have probably bought it lower. But I wanted to go ahead and get it started in my portfolio, so I can realize some of those gains and those dividends. Maybe you're asking, why did I decide to go with that, and why am I hitting beverage so much? For some reason, and I don't know why, but Coca-Cola and Pepsi, I'm just really waiting to see if either of them sort of dig into the cannabis industry or the CBD infused beverage industry. It's an interesting industry, and I don't know if either of these players are going to try and get into it. I can kind of see Pepsi getting more into it because they have snacks and foods, and they're little, I don't know, they just seem more of an edgier brand to try and capture that, the whole weed stock movement, whereas Coca-Cola is like more of a tried and true. They're not going to do anything, I guess, deviant. So I have both of them in there. If either of them make moves in that direction, maybe the stock will do something crazy, and we'll see something interesting there. So I'm trying it out. So there, you can see my Pepsi allocation right there. I'm wanting it to make up 9% of my portfolio. With the purchases that went on today, it's at 4.3%. So I will sprinkle money into there, and I will keep my auto investing on to do that. Another slight change is that I lowered my allocation of Gladstone. So I bumped it down a little bit, bumped Capital Southwest up 1%, and I bumped Norfolk Southern down 2%. Norfolk Southern was at 9% along with all these other dividend players, but I realized it's not really a dividend stock as much, so I went ahead and lowered its allocation. But this is what we're looking at right now, guys. And just as a little snippet, let's see how we've done with dividends over the year. So almost $100 for dividends all time, so that is awesome. This rate of return is garbage, so let's actually look at the holdings. All right. So I'll edit this because my big head's in the way, but here's kind of what we're looking at. A 5% rate of return on this portfolio since inception, which if we want to take a look at inception is actually looks like August 23rd. So since August 23rd, we've had a 5% rate of return. I believe the dividend yield itself is now sitting on 5.48% with an expense ratio of 0 now that I've gotten rid of Guggenheim, which was sort of a fund that had an expense ratio attached to it. So now this portfolio is expense ratio free, and we got a new dividend player in there. So let me refer back to my notes once again. I'm sure there's something else I wanted to talk about. Yes. So some personal changes I have done. My 401k, I was contributing 10% of my paycheck and getting an employer match of 6%. I'm editing that a little bit. I'm going to contribute 6% myself. That way I get the employer match of 6%. With that extra 4%, I'll have a little more capital on hand. I know it's going to get taxed in my paycheck, so don't hate on me now, but both of my retirement vehicles, my 401k and my Roth, are sitting pretty well right now. So I know you're probably going to say, well, you can always do better, keep contributing more. It's untaxed right now. Why are you changing this? I would just feel a little more comfortable having some cash on hand, more flowing in that I can do what I want with. If that's maybe putting it back in a taxable dividend paying investment portfolio like M1, then so be it. I'm going to do that. But right now my retirement accounts are doing quite well, so I'm not as worried. I am meeting my employer's match on my 401k, and my Roth IRA is doing just fine. So with that being said, as far as my paychecks go, my employment, what I'm getting from my employer, so that means I bumped it down 4%, so I should see more take home on my paychecks, as well as a salary increase of 4% that I got. So my annual review came through. I met all expectations, which I'm thinking translates to a 4% increase per paycheck. So, a 4% raise. So that's about, 8% more I'll be taking home, and I can do with what I want. So that's just something I'm going to be doing myself. Just sort of a plan, something I can do. I can put into investment portfolios. I can do more stuff, maybe around the house. Just have more cash on hand. I don't feel strapped like I'm tucking all this money away almost too diligently and then not leaving myself enough for leisure. You have to find that balance. So, before we close up, touching on the retirement vehicles. So my Roth IRA, as if you're familiar with Roth IRAs, it is taxed up front, meaning you won't pay taxes when you go to withdraw it later on in life. So I have a pretty good amount in my Roth IRA right now. It is sitting with Fidelity in a single fund, and that fund itself has a pretty high expense ratio of 0.35%, which most funds you can get way lower. I know Vanguard has way lower expense ratios on their funds. So I've been playing around with the idea of actually rolling that Roth over into Acorns later. Acorns later is their version of a retirement account. So you can have your Acorns core account, and then you also get the Acorns later account, which is a retirement vehicle. Some of the reasons I want to do that is then I would have the Acorns core, the Acorns later, and then if the Acorns spend account, if that's something good and useful, I could get all three, and I would be taking more advantage of paying that $36 a year for the robo investor account. Something else I need to look into is that a lot of robo advisors, with their monthly or yearly fees, they will actually take care of all commission fees, which we know Acorns does that, and they will also take care of expense ratio fees. So if I can get my Roth IRA rolled over to Acorns and start investing in the funds they have, and I see no expense ratios with that, it's definitely a better option as instead of just letting it sit with Fidelity and eat to that 0.35% expense ratio each year. So it's just something to consider. I've shot out a bunch of messages trying to gather information on that. If I like what I get back and I like what I hear, and it doesn't cost me too much to roll over, I will definitely look into doing that. I'm just trying to see how I can make my money work harder for me, since it's going to be sitting there for a long time. That way it doesn't eat into my compounding interest. So that is everything I wanted to touch on. I'm sorry if this turned into a lengthy video, but there's just a lot of different financial stuff that I'm sort of monkeying around with here lately, and I wanted to keep you guys up to date. So as always, I appreciate you guys sticking it out till the end. Go ahead, comment, like. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. Thanks.